Welcome to the VR Gaming Podcast. I think this is episode number 38. And this is a podcast where we focus on VR games. Because we don't... hardware, there's tons of hardware news out there. Like, really, honestly, there isn't a lot of news as far as VR gaming. So that's what a lot of these sites and a lot of these YouTubers focus on, hardware. But we're gamers first, and that's what we care about the most. Isn't that right, Alex?
That's right, baby. I don't know why I say that. It's right. That's correct. Yeah, you are correct.
Baby.
I'm not going to say baby again.
Okay.
It's cringy.
Okay. All right. So we created a YouTube channel. This has been on like Anchor and like iTunes and Stitcher and all of those podcast platforms for a long time. And we just created a YouTube channel. I found out that Nick, the guy that started this podcast, he already had a VR gaming podcast YouTube channel, but he hasn't uploaded anything in over 2 years. So I asked him if he could delete that one to get rid of confusion. So he deleted that one, and now we have the VR gaming podcast YouTube channel. If you search for that, you'll find it. Or in the URL, you could just put at VR Gaming Podcast, and you'll find it. So you can subscribe to that and comment, and we'd like that. Right now, we have a whopping 8 subscribers, sadly, but we'll work on that. I think a lot of people just listen on the the podcast platform. So
Yep.
yeah, they don't even know about it being on YouTube yet.
That's
So. As far as games we've played lately, I've already talked about this a lot, but Valheim.
Oh my god! Again?
Okay. I just gotta. We finally beat Valheim. So this guy
Well, you
Josh
did.
and I did. Alex, I think it was too late for you because there's a 5-hour time difference.
I couldn't be bothered.
Yeah,
Anyway.
I couldn't be bothered. So Josh and I, we upgraded all our gear in the Mistlands area, and we went and fought the boss, which is now the final boss in the game. You know, they'll add more biomes and more bosses later. But we beat her, and I recorded it, and it's on my channel, Main Fan. If you're interested in seeing the VR mod, it's first person with motion controls. I recommend it highly, and you can play with up to 10 people at once in the same world, all playing together. So I think Alex got tired of it because it's a grind fest.
I did.
Yeah, so I don't think he's too upset about missing out on that final battle.
I've actually uninstalled it.
Oh shit, really?
Yeah.
Wow.
If we get a big update, I might come back in, but I'm kind of over it.
All right. So
I know you're not.
Nah, I mean, I'll go right back in. Well, actually, another friend of mine said, "Hey, I want to start playing Valheim," and I just started a brand new world with him, and I'm kind of regretting it because it's just so much grinding of all these different metals and all the mining and
Yeah.
God.
I mean, you spent over 100 hours getting to where you are, so then you're gonna have to do that all over again.
Yeah.
And yeah,
I don't know if I can do it
no thanks.
this soon. All right, so what's your first game?
This is a game that I don't know. I don't even know if I want to talk about it, but we probably need to just get it out of the way. Which is Lon, which we talked about last week, but I've played 3 hours of it now, and the reason I'm hesitant to talk about it is because the developers are really, I don't know what's the right word, but they've been very
Sensitive?
Yeah. I mean, I understand because they spent 4 years making this game, and obviously if someone says they don't like it, then, they're not going to take it very well, but it's got to the point where they're emailing me several times, sending me pictures of Steam reviews that are good and positive and saying they're confused, they don't understand why I don't like it.
These people love it. Why don't you?
Pretty much, yeah. Sending me links to YouTubers who like the game. And it's just, everyone's different. Everyone likes different things. And personally, I've tried to give it a good chance. I bought the game with my own money. I didn't get a free key or anything. We're in a bit of a lull right now where there's no real games coming out. So I really want stuff to play, especially like VR games with motion controls. And I just wasn't enjoying it. I just wasn't having fun. So I stopped playing it. Um, I know you've played a bit more as well, and you've stopped playing it, not finished it.
I just looked at my playtime, and mine is 3 hours also, and I actually feel the same way.
Mm.
A lot of the issues was I kept getting performance problems out of nowhere. So where even moving my like hands in front of my face, I could see reprojection, and I'm using a 3080 Ti.
Yeah,
So
I
that
had
seems,
performance issues, like that section with the you go into this building where it's like a taxi firm. What's it
yeah,
called?
yeah.
And you go into this building, and performance was really rough there, like
I had it
really
bad
rough.
there, and I had it bad in a completely different area later.
Oh yeah, and it's very sketchy. Like sometimes it's fine, sometimes it's bad.
Hmm.
Performance isn't the major issue. I stopped playing with. The main thing is just I didn't find it fun.
Yeah.
The gameplay basically consists of you going into a room, having to figure out how to get out a door on the other side or something. It's very simple, and then the level design is very convoluted, where they've obviously made a box, made a rectangular room, and then they've just put a load of stuff in it, and then put a switch somewhere, or a couple of levers that you've got to pull, and it just doesn't really make much sense in terms of the room itself. No one would build a room like it's like, for example, you walk into a room, you might have to climb up a ladder to walk across a gantry, to go down an elevator, to then walk across the bottom to go up another ladder, to climb a rope. It's just it just doesn't make sense that the gameplay itself isn't really that much fun. That's not fun to me. Just having to just climb. The climbing isn't particularly that great anyway. Even getting up ladders can be a problem. The gameplay, the combat is not very good. For some reason, they've leaned into the melee focus stuff. Like in 3 hours, I've barely used my gun, and the gun's fine. It's not the best shooting in VR, but it's okay. Although the AI aren't particularly great, you can shoot them pretty easily. You don't have to really get challenged. But when you're doing the melee, it's really really bad. Some of the worst melee I've
You
experienced.
mean with the sword?
Yeah, with a sword
Yeah.
or any sort of weapon. Like the
Hmm.
sword feels like you're just hitting them with a stick. You don't feel like you're using a sword at all,
And
unless you stab them.
I
And
found I
then
could hold the sword out in front of me, and the flying drones would just run into it and die. I didn't even have to swing it.
yeah, I mean, there's these little head crab type things, which are obviously supposed to be head crabs, but they like these little robots with these
Yeah.
little legs, and they
Hmm.
animate so badly.
Hmm.
They just kind of like they don't even move the legs virtually. They just kind of like glide across the floor awkwardly, and they're just not challenging. They just kind of weirdly move around, and then they'll jump at you. I walked into a room and there was four of them, and I just had my sword, and I just walked up to one, stuck my sword in it, walked up to the other one, stuck my sword in it, and just did that. And all four of them, and I didn't even take any damage. It was just so easy.
Hmm.
So the combat's not very good and not fun. The platforming and moving around don't feel particularly great. Like when you jump, for some reason you don't feel like you're jumping. You can't feel like you're kind of just gliding. You don't feel like you've got gravity almost. I don't know if you noticed that. Like when you jump, you kind of float almost. You don't feel like you're actually jumping and coming back down. Like with
Hmm.
Boneworks, I don't like the way that they have that delay to you jumping, but
Yeah.
when you jump, it feels like your character's actually jumping, whereas with this, it kind of feels like you're pressing a button, and you've almost got like these booster rockets underneath you that are kind of just moving you up into the air, and then you kind of like glide. And you can even use your thumbstick in the air and
Hmm.
still kind of move around in the air, which obviously don't feel particularly great. So just like the movement don't feel particularly good. The combat's not very good. The only thing I particularly enjoyed, which I thought was okay, was the graphics.
Hmm.
Um, but like I said, the level design feels weird. That the way that the rooms are laid out just feels like they've obviously just taken a room and just made they're just trying to figure out ways to make you do things to progress to the next area, rather than designing a building or something that actually makes sense and feels like an actual real building. And they've got this hub area, which I just don't know why they've even spent the time on that, because it doesn't add anything, really. Like you go there at the start, and you've got all these guys wandering around weirdly. They're walking on a patrol, but if you actually stand and watch them, they don't even. They kind of walk forward 3 steps, and then they'll stop, and then they'll turn, and they'll walk forward a few steps, and then and you'll have one guy who's walking all the way around. You've got one guy who's walking around a little like square area. It just doesn't feel particularly that interesting. I just didn't feel motivated to keep playing.
Did you have any issues? Sorry, did you have any issues with the laser light puzzles? Like sometimes the laser lights would point up diagonally, vertically, and they wouldn't. I couldn't get the laser light to point where it's obviously intended to go. Like
it's a bit finicky because that's another thing. They've designed these puzzles which are throughout the game. You constantly they're basically just like light redirection puzzles. But even that, it doesn't really make sense. Why is there this laser beam just coming out of the floor?
Yeah.
And then you've got for some weird reason, got this triangle thing that you've got to pick up, which is it just randomly laying around, to then redirect the laser to then hit another point in a different wall, which then powers up a door so you can leave. So again, it just feels like they've just tried to think of what can we do to, get the player to do something before they move to the next area. And it's just not interesting.
And one of them, I had to shove a fire extinguisher underneath of it to get it at the right angle. And I was like, this can't be what they intended.
No, I didn't have any issues like that. It was just, again, it just wasn't fun. It's like, okay, I've got to find this triangle.
It's not fun.
It's not well thought out. It makes no sense in terms of an actual world or an environment. It's just something they've thought of as a game mechanic, and they've just kind of just put it in there. It doesn't make sense in terms of why would this environment, why would this room that's just full of old random crap. You'd walk into a room and I'd have no idea what this room was supposed to be.
Yeah.
Like, what is this room designed for? What am I supposed to be doing in this room? Why does this room exist?
I guess you need a voiceover of somebody being like, all right, we need to redirect the power, type of ththing to make it make more sense or something.
I think even then it's just because they've got that voiceover woman who talks to you and stuff. But yeah, and there's plenty of people who like the game. So if you like, I recommend trying the game. Personally, I don't think you should go past the 2 hours. I've gone past the 2 hours, so I can't refund it. I personally recommend you try up to that for 2 hours. If you've not been engaged and enjoying the game, get a refund and move on. The developers insist. They've even emailed. I think they contacted you with this stat where they were saying like more people, people who've played the game for longer are rating it.
That was funny.
Positive. Well, obviously, the more you play of the game, the more people are going to rate it positive, because the people that aren't enjoying the game aren't going to keep playing it. So
exactly.
Again, that's another thing. They've emailed me several times. They've emailed you and messaged you about it saying about, because I had that problem like you where you spawn into the game and you're like a crumpled heap on the floor.
Yeah.
And they told you it was a tracking problem. Well, I checked my tracking. I made sure I'm not having this problem in any other game. And I'd have several times where you spawn into the world where you're like, your head's basically on the floor.
Mm-hmm.
And so we're giving them feedback, telling them problems, and they're just saying, well, it's you, it's not the game. So I'm not going to be playing any more of it, and obviously I won't be talking about it anymore. I appreciate that developers are going to be defensive because they've spent a lot of time on this game. I just think that the game itself, for me personally, where I'm at with, because I was thinking actually, if I played this game, let's say 3 years ago, would I have enjoyed it? And I don't think I would, because, like I say, it's just not fun. I don't think it's a case of, I've played better games now, so I don't enjoy it. Because some games you could say, well, in the early days, a game that wasn't that great, like Arizona Sunshine, you enjoyed it. But I still thought that Arizona Sunshine was fun. Like, the gameplay was still fun, even though by today's standards, a lot of things have improved. But to me, this game, just isn't fun. The gameplay itself isn't fun. So I don't think I would have enjoyed it regardless of whether it was an early VR game or a late VR game like it is now.
Yeah, for me, the gameplay is always what matters the most, and having fun. I was thinking of 2016 games when you said that, and I was thinking of like Vertigo. I played that in 2016, and I I had a lot of fun. Like even though the game didn't look great, it was fun, and I kept coming back every day to play more of it until I beat it. And yeah, I don't think I would have done that with this game, even in 2016. I
Yeah,
don't know.
I think the big problem is, well, I think it's just loads of problems. But I think even like with the graphics, I think they look good, but there's something about the lighting that looks a bit fake. Like everything's really well lit. Like, I was thinking about, remember that Technolust game, from
Yeah.
that's a Rift exclusive, and that's not a particularly great game. There's not much you do in it, but
Is it a game, or I'm thinking of a different one? What's that other
Technolust
cyber?
is the one where you're in a cyberpunk environment and you go. It's like more of a story-driven thing where there's
Uh-huh.
not a lot of gameplay. And you walk into the arcade shop and there's little
Oh
arcade
yeah,
games
that
you can play.
one.
But that feels like an actual. The world building that the guy did was really good. Like it felt like an actual real space.
Hmm.
Everything made sense. He's got a city environment where you walk through and there's NPCs there, but they're not walking around weirdly. They're kind of leant against a wall or sat down. And the guy, I mean, I don't think he's very good at making an actual game that plays great, but he's really good at world building. He's building that new game, Lo-Fi, which I've played
That's what I was
that.
trying to think of. Lo-fi.
Yeah.
That's not a game yet at all.
Again, that's
Yeah.
just pretty environments, but
Yeah.
again, the world building that he's done is really good.
Hmm.
If it was like that with Lon, so it looked like that, but they had some gameplay to it, then it might have interested me more because I'd want to see the rest of the game. But there's just nothing there that's keeping me going, wanting me to keep playing the game. So
Yeah.
for me, I don't like it. I don't recommend it. But there are people that do enjoy it, so have a look yourself. If it's something you're interested in, try it. But my recommendation is don't go past the 2 hours. The developers insisted to me and to you that we need to play more of it. I've done that, and now I'm stuck with a game I don't like, which I paid full price for.
For me, my interest peaked in the beginning. I was like, pretty interested in the beginning, and then it just declined the more I played. So it was the opposite of what they're saying.
Yeah, yeah, I agree. But that's all. Yeah, I'm not going to keep talking about it. That's all I've got to say on it. I'm sorry, developers. I know that you've put a lot of time and effort into this game, and I could go through lots of details and things that I don't think's great about it, but ultimately, I don't really want to spend the time making a video on it. I'd rather do something else.
Okay, the next game is Bendy and the Ink Machine. There's a free VR mod for this out, that's why I got this game. I'd never even heard of it before, but you're an animator walking around this your animation studio, and everything looks like kind of like a cartoon. It sort of reminded me of like Cuphead's graphics, but this is a first person walking through a 3D environment thing, and you're gonna see friendly cartoon characters. You're going to see enemy cartoon characters. And it's a horror game, which interested me a lot because I like horror games. But the more I played it, the less I liked it. And I found that like the graphics were the main draw. Like there's a really cool art style. It has good voiceover work. But the gameplay, I don't think is good at all. It's not a good game. I beat the game. Like I went all the way through it because I was like, all right, there's got to be something more. There's got to be something more. This got to get better. I was intrigued enough with the story that I wanted to know what would happen. It was like lots of fetch quests and a lot of me getting lost in a maze and not knowing where the fuck to go. What about you?
Yeah, it's funny because I feel exactly the same way.
Huh.
I actually, I tried. This is another one. I never would have played this. I saw, the mod and thought, oh, this looks kind of interesting. And when you look at the reviews are all like mostly positive,
Yeah,
very
positive.
positive.
It's like 89 or 90% on Steam.
Yeah, and it feels like it's one of those games that's kind of like Five Nights at Freddy's, where
Yes.
people, I don't know, there's just something about this world that people really like.
Mm-hmm.
But for me personally, I enjoyed at first being in that world 'cause it's a really cool world, like the way that it looks and everything. But then it doesn't change. So you're playing through the game and it's got the same color palette. Everything kind of looks the same. There's even times like you said. There's a fetch. It's like very fetch questy. So you just get given. I got to a point where I was in the third chapter, and there was this woman who was telling me,
Alice.
is that what her name?
Yeah, her name's Alice, I think.
Yeah, she basically tells you to go and fetch some stuff, and then you come back and she tells you to fetch some more stuff, and you had to get these gears, which was behind these covers, but I didn't even realize you could interact with these covers
Yep.
because they look like
Yep.
integrated so well into the environment. Everything's the same color.
I got pissed off with that part more than any other part in the game.
I was literally
Yeah.
clicking on these boxes. I didn't know what I was supposed to be doing. And eventually, I think I just accidentally must have clicked on one of these covers, which you then click on a
Mhm.
cover and it drops. But there's no way to tell that you can interact with that because it just blends in with the environment. So that's just kind of summed up the game for me. It was a lot of you having to go and find something to progress to the next area and not having really any clue what you're supposed to be getting or how you're supposed to get it. And then when you do get it, you just, the next, you're given another thing you've got to go and get.
It,
The enemies are really easy to kill. I mean,
Mhm.
I got to those blob, there's like these ink type guys who come at you, and you
Yeah.
get different weapons like a crowbar. You get like an axe, or you get
Pipe.
pipe. Yeah. So you get these guys, and there's these other guys, these smaller guys who come running at you. You have to kill, but they're very easy to kill. They're not difficult. I also, I mean, I'm not a big into horror games, but I didn't find this scary at all.
No.
Like not even in the slightest.
No.
I mean, you don't get scared anyway, but it just didn't even. There was nothing. Even the Bendy, the guy, like the main enemy,
Yeah.
because sometimes he shows up, and then you have to kind of, it's like Alien Isolation, where you've just got to run away.
All you have to
Uh,
do is go into one of those little closets, and even if they see you, even if they're right directly behind you when you go into one of those little closets, they leave you alone.
right.
They
So
don't
it's not.
try to
The
get
AI
into
is
the
pretty
closet.
basic then.
Like in Alien
Yeah.
Isolation, that doesn't it kill you if it sees you go in there?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
If it knows where you are, it'll kill you. Like even if you're
Yeah.
hiding on something, it can sometimes look underneath the
Yeah.
tables, and if it sees you, you're gonna die.
In this game, if you go into those closets, they immediately turn around and walk away like, well, there's nothing to see here. And then you can immediately walk out of the closet and they don't get alerted. They just keep walking away.
Yeah. Whenever that guy showed up, it just frustrated me more than scared
Yeah.
me. I was just like, oh God, I just felt like I wanted to just get through the game.
Mm-hmm.
So that's why I just stopped playing. I didn't finish it. The VR mod, I'll say about the VR mod's good. There are a few little quirks, like you can't use your right hand. Well, you can use your right hand if you want to use the left-handed mode, but if you're right-handed mode, you have to use your left hand.
I swapped the sticks. I played.
Oh, you went to left-handed,
I played
right?
into left-handed mode because I didn't like that.
Yeah, because you get weapons which are fixed to your hand, and not like you just got a floating weapon, so you can't. When you've got a weapon, you can't interact with stuff.
Mm-hmm.
So, but when you first start the game, you've got two hands. So when you naturally walk up to something,
Yeah.
you want to use your right hand, and the
You're
game
like,
will tell
why
you
the fuck
this.
isn't anything happening?
Yeah, that's. And there's a laser pointer thing you can add in the options to make it
Yeah.
easier to see what you can click on,
Yeah.
which I do recommend because sometimes it's hard to see where because you basically all you're doing, you aiming at something, you pull the trigger and it interacts with an object, but you're doing it with your left hand, not your right hand. So I should mention that. But if you want to switch it round, you can do that by switching it to left-handed mode. So then the weapon will be in left hand, and you can interact by
Yeah.
pulling the trigger on
I
the right
recommend
hand.
that because you use the interaction hand way more than you use the weapon in this game.
Yeah, I mean, I
So-
left it on the left hand. Once I understood how the game worked,
Mm-hmm.
I was fine with it.
Yeah.
But when I first started the game, I was like, what? I just did not understand why. I was like, what the hell am I supposed to be doing? I needed to pick up this thing. I knew I needed to pick it up, but I just could not pick it up. And I actually went into the options, put the laser pointer thing on, and that's when I saw, oh, it's the left hand.
Yeah.
That's
There are
doing
one or
it.
two sections in the game where you need to use your weapon a lot, like in quick
Right.
succession. So that's when you probably want to use your dominant hand.
Yeah.
But you could switch it back and forth. What the thing that annoyed me the most about this game is that, okay, so a lot of these objects or things that you need to interact with, you would come across them while you're playing, and you click on it and nothing would happen. And then, you'd go progress through the game, and then magically those things that you had already tried to interact with before, they're interactable, but you don't know that. The game doesn't really like those panels that you were talking about. The game didn't let you know you need to go to those panels that you used to not be able to interact with. Now you can interact with them. Well, you have to walk around this whole maze-like level, clicking on everything to figure out finally, oh, this I can interact with now? God, that pissed me off.
Yeah,
I don't know. Is that a common game tech thing? Because I don't feel like many games do shit like that.
No. I mean, I think, I'll be honest, I don't think this, for me, I don't think this game's that good.
No,
I mean,
it's not.
I just don't think it's that, there's anything special. The appeal is the way it looks.
Yeah.
But that wears off, after you've seen, because like I say, it looks the same.
Mm-hmm.
Even though you go into these different areas, because it's the same. It's like an off yellow, like yellowy kind of sepia.
I've heard people say like sepia.
Sepia, yeah, that kind of sepia and white. It's not black and white. It's like a sepia and white type of yellowish color palette throughout the entire game, and every object's got that color palette. So everything just blends into one. And I didn't find it particularly interesting after a while, and I never finished it, and I don't plan to finish it.
Yeah, I get far enough into a game, and I'm like, all right, I've spent this much time. Let me just, because a lot of times I'll look up how long does it take to beat a game, and it said 4.5 hours. So I was like, all right, I'll. Yeah,
because it's only like 5 hours or something.
Yeah.
But I was surprised because I saw that you beat it, and I thought, I was expecting you to say you liked it because you actually carried on playing it. But then I realized,
lots of games I don't like.
You do that. You've got that in you to just finish something. Whereas if as soon as something stops being fun, I'm like, I'd rather do something else on my time, because what's the point? If you're not enjoying it, then you're just playing something for the sake of playing it, then there's no point.
There's got to be something that hooks me with this game. The horror element hooks me. The cartoon thing is unique enough that it got me hooked.
Because there's a sequel as well, which looks like they've really stepped up the graphics and stuff.
Oh, a 3D sequel?
There's another sequel to the game which is just released. No, it's not got a mod for it yet, but I think the guy who made the mod might end up modding it. But then, because the sequel looks visually another step up, because it don't look bad visually in the headset or anything.
Yeah, it looks good.
Like the ink, they've got these like ink blobs, and they look pretty cool. They look like actual ink that have coming at you and stuff. So I think visually it's good, and it looks good. In performance is good. I didn't have any issues with performance.
I had minor performance issues in some places.
Did you?
Yeah.
You got further than me, though. I mean, I just got to the elevator bit, did the first fetch quest with the panels, and then I had to get a syringe to go and do something else, and I was like, I can't be bothered. So I just stopped.
Yeah, a lot more happens with the story later, and you meet other characters, so that's when, once you get to that part, you're like, all right, I got to see what happens.
Yeah, I think that is probably the best part of the game. Like, the gameplay itself isn't particularly interesting. I think the world did interest me. If the gameplay was a bit better, I would have definitely continued playing it. But like you said, it is just fetch quest after fetch quest. Yeah. And there's times where you just do not know what you're supposed to do. And that to me is just frustrating, because I don't mind a puzzle where I'm stood in some, if I can see kind of what I need to do. I've just got to figure out how to do it. But if I have no clue what I need to do, and I'm just wandering around, constantly going backtracking and looking at every little corner and clicking on every little thing just in case I've missed something, that's when it's like, no.
Yeah, I was thinking about recording this, but when I was playing it, I was like, damn, good thing I'm not recording this, because this would be so boring to watch. Just walk around these hallways over and over, like going, where the fuck do I need to go?
Yeah, if you're not scared as well, because obviously people like to watch people get scared, but...
Oh, in the credits for the game, there was Jacksepticeye. Like, he's in the credits. So they got big YouTubers to play the game, and they got big.
Yeah, he'll have got early access to it or something. Well, I think it was an early access game that got full release, because I think they've released one chapter and then they kept releasing new chapters. I think there's like 5 chapters altogether.
Yeah.
And I did 3, and I did the first 2 and then half of 3.
Okay. So
anyway, let's move on to the next game.
Yeah, next game.
The next one is The Forest, which is a game that I'm not a big fan of these grindy kind of survival games. But after we played Valheim, I just thought, I enjoyed the exploration, and I enjoyed playing it in co-op with you and Josh.
Hmm.
So I thought, well, what else can we play? And I remembered the forest was something we tried a while ago, but performance was bad, and I wasn't particularly that into the game. So we went back to it, and performance now we've got, you know, better graphics cards. It's
Yeah,
actually good.
I went from a 1080 Ti to a 3080 Ti.
Yeah, I had a 1080 and now I've got a 3080. So if you've got a good graphics card, it's now playable. It's you can play it even with some pretty high settings. It's still fully playable. Visually, it doesn't look as good as Valheim on the surface, like when you're up on the main area,
Yeah,
like the forest and everything. But when you go into the caves look really good,
yeah, I
and
agree.
and the caves are much more interesting than Valheim's dungeons. So the thing I like about this is it's not actually that grindy. I don't think personally for a survival game. You've got thirst and you've got stamina and you've got hunger. But if you don't eat for a while and your hunger meter and everything's at the bottom, you don't die instantly. It takes a long time for you to die. So you don't have to like panic and constantly eat and drink all the time. And getting food and water and what have you, it's pretty easy to get. It's not really that difficult, especially once you get into the caves. You find loads of bars of chocolate and cans of soda and stuff. So that side of things wasn't actually that bad once you get into the game. There's no leveling up or anything. There's no grinding to level up your character. You just randomly find things as you go. Like we found a katana sword as a weapon, and you can craft a bow and arrow, but that's really easy. You can make a bow and arrow really quickly because all you need is a bit of rope, a stick, and a bit of cloth, and you can make a bow and arrow. And to craft things, you press a button and you get like this big tarpaulin type thing with all your stuff on it, and it's floating in front of you. And then you literally click on the thing you want to put in the middle, click on the other thing, and then you just press another button and it crafts it. And if you click on one thing and then there's like a gear sign, if you hover over that, it'll tell you what you need to make different items. So then you know, oh, okay, so I need a cloth or I need a rock to make something. So the crafting's really easy. Everything's like the actual grind isn't bad at all. So that means that the majority of your time is actually exploration. You're just exploring, and I think that's why I enjoy this game because it is more exploration to survival, in my opinion.
The problem for me is there isn't much to explore. Like, there just isn't enough there.
Yeah,
It feels barren.
yeah. I mean, I think compared to Valheim, because Valheim's such a massive world, and it's got such diverse biomes. It's got obviously more creatures. There's trolls and there's all sorts of different creatures you come across. And every time you come across a new thing, it's genuinely cool to see in VR, like a troll or a abomination coming out of
Hmm.
the ground or something.
Yeah.
Whereas with this game, the enemies are these like cannibals, like mutated cannibal type, humanoid type creatures. But then there's some that have got multiple legs. There's some that are really fat and come running at you. There's some that
Crazy
have
naked
got
women.
naked women. Which
I have experience with that in my real life.
have you? What
Yeah,
crazy naked
crazy
women?
naked women. Yeah.
Yeah, no, I've met crazy women. They're usually not naked,
Ah,
unfortunately.
that sucks.
Yeah, and like so that side of things, and the combat's really easy in VR. I think the game would be harder in out of VR because you probably got cooldown and stuff when you're trying to swing. But in VR, you can pretty much waggle if you wanted to, and
Yeah,
you can just decimate them.
I waggled all over the crazy naked ladies.
You waggled something. Yeah. So I mean, I know it's not as good as Valheim. I will say, even with the grind, I prefer Valheim. Although you guys took a lot of the grind off me, so that's probably why I enjoyed it more.
Hmm.
But I do. This game's got a story, so you actually got an end point where you can finish the game and everything, and that's what keeps me wanting to keep playing it. You don't have to build neither. Like that's another thing. We've barely built anything. You can just build these little shacks and stuff, or these little shelters, and you can then use those to save or sleep. But then there's tents dotted around the place where you can use those as well. So it's really not a heavy survival game at all. I don't think.
Yeah, why do people always post their builds and shit? Like, why does it even
Can't,
matter?
I think it's just some people like the building side of things.
Hmm.
Some people like to because you can build a lot of different stuff,
Mm-hmm.
but there was always felt to me they felt like there was a reason for it in Valheim, like to build
Yeah.
something. You because you needed to store things, and there was so much things to store, and you needed to craft things, and you had to get so much stuff. So you're naturally going to build a house, but then you're going to, oh well, we need more space. So then you knock stuff down, and you're building it, extending it, and you. So that there was a reason for that. Whereas in the forest, there's absolutely no reason to
I wonder if
build.
there's stuff in the forest we have to craft that requires a workbench. Have you already looked at that?
I don't know because I've not
Hmm.
felt I've needed to craft anything. Like
Yeah.
with what we've got, I feel like we could just go through the game. I don't feel like
Yeah.
we don't need. There's no leveling up with the enemies where enemies are really hard, so you can't really take them on yet. Everything we've come across with a bow and arrow and with a katana and everything, we can with three of
Yeah.
us we can just decimate them. So
Yeah.
there's no real incentive to even worry about crafting.
Yeah.
So for
Whereas
me,
in Valheim, you go to a new biome and you just get destroyed.
yeah, I mean
Yeah.
you have to upgrade your armor, you've got to upgrade your swords and your weapons and craft different weapons. Whereas this, and it doesn't even give you any stats. So if you get a different weapon, there's no way to tell whether one's more powerful than the other. So it's just, yeah, it's just not. To me, it's not really. It don't even feel like a survival game. It feels more like just an exploration sort of story-driven co-op game,
Yeah.
which is fine by me because I'm enjoying that part of it. So yeah, you go into these caves and the caves are massive as well, and you have to try and figure out, you know, try and figure out all the different areas because as you're going through the caves, you find gear that you need, like you find climbing things that lets you climb certain areas. The thing we're trying to find next is like a
Rebreather.
rebreather so we can breathe underwater because there's you can swim underwater, which is really cool in VR, but obviously you can only stay underwater for so long. And there's sections in the game to finish the game you've got to be able to breathe and go under long sections underwater. So that's the next thing when we play again. We're gonna need to get that. And once I finish the game and I finish the story, then I'll be done with it. I'm not gonna do any building or anything like that. But
Yeah. And
yeah, I think it's go on.
we were playing together, and I was like, "Why? Where the hell? Why don't we have a map?" And then
Oh
I looked
yeah.
it up, and like we had to. There's a specific cave where there's a map and a compass, and it wasn't until then that we actually realized that you could actually chart where you've been, but you have to have your map out while you're
Yeah, I don't like
walking.
that. I
Yeah, I
don't
don't like
like
that
that
at all.
because we played. Me and Josh played first before Justin came in. We put 8 hours into this game, and we spent 4 hours just on the surface. I was getting really bored and was getting ready to quit before we found an entrance to the cave because these caves are quite well hidden. They're like these little, tiny little snooks or whatever you want to call it. Little gaps and you can shimmy through, but you could easily miss them. And there's one right near where you spawn, near the plane, but we didn't see it. So we were wandering around, we didn't find any. And the one near the plane is the one that you find the map. So we didn't find the map. So we've been all over this place, been already found loads of caves, climbing down caves. So then when we finally got the map's blank. You don't It don't fill the map out even though you've already been to places. You have to have the map and you have to walk with the map open for it to kind of draw where you've been. So that was a little bit frustrating because you do need a map because it's really hard to figure out where you've been, where you've not been.
Especially in the caves, I had no clue where
Yeah,
I
the caves,
was.
the caves. I will say that the caves are well designed. Like you go into a cave, and I can go into a cave now, and I can figure out kind of whether I've been in there enough because they've done a good job with having like certain landmarks in the cave where you think, oh, this is this bit area. There might be a a boat or a bit of water, or it looks really good in the caves, and I think they've done a good job of like there's a bit where there's like this big pile of bodies down in the bottom, and these little weird mutant babies that try and get you, and so they've done a good job with making sure that each cave has its own identity, but you can still easily get lost and figuring out, oh, have I been up there? Have I been up there? That can be difficult without the map. So I definitely recommend if you play this game, don't go too far away from the plane. Just keep circling around that area until you find an entrance to a cave because you need that map.
Yeah. All right. So we played both of these games together, and with Josh and Ivan. Walkabout Mini Golf and Ragnarok.
Right.
Yeah. So Walkabout Mini Golf had that new what is it? Is it called Atlantis DLC?
Yeah, I mean, I'll just say quickly with that. Obviously, they've got this new level called Atlantis, which is the new DLC. They've put the price up actually. It used to be, was it $2.99?
Yeah, $3.99 now,
And
or
it's $3.99.
I'm not
Yeah.
sure. Let me see.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure that's what it is, the new price. But apparently that's just for that new map going forward. The old maps are still $2.99, which I mean, it's fine. I understand that they've added an extra dollar, and most people aren't gonna stop buying it for that. And it's worth it. I think that it's a game that you get an easy course, you get a hard course. If you play with some friends, we can easy. Well, I think we spent well over an hour just doing the easy course, and then we'll do the hard one, and that might be another hour. So it's a couple of hours worth of content if you just play it once.
Yeah, you're,
I
you're
think,
right. $2.99 for all the old ones and $3.99 for
yeah,
Atlantis.
and I think the new course is really good. Visually, especially, I think it's one of the best they've done. You're
Hmm.
literally underwater, so you can see like sharks swimming around. There's turtles. There's all sorts
Manta
of different,
Ray,
yeah, big whale, humpback whale, and
whale.
things.
Yeah.
And I think even though it's got this low poly aesthetic, I think that they've done a really good job with making it feel like an actual realistic kind of environment somehow. It's the best one visually. I'm not sure about the course itself. The course is fine. Probably not my favourite course design, but they're all still great, and it's always fun to play, especially if you've got a few friends to play with.
Yeah, and yeah, Ragnarok. I learned that I'm not the king of the mountain anymore.
That's true.
Yeah. We learned the correct pronunciation of his name. What? Ivan? Is that how you
I
say
think
it?
that's right, Ivan.
Ivan?
Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, he kicked my ass in Ragnarok. I think pretty much on every song. I don't know if I beat him once.
Yeah, I was not expecting that, I'll be honest.
Yeah.
Because I know you're good at this game, and then I was thinking, oh, you're just going to wipe the floor with us. And immediately, Ivan was just blitzing you, and it was
God.
just like crazy. And
Yeah.
I've also discovered that I absolutely suck at Ragnarok. For some
Were,
reason, I just cannot get the timing down.
were you behind Josh every time?
I was at the back every
Oh, okay.
time. Yeah.
All right. Well.
Even Josh, who'd never played the game, was beating me. So I was just like, I suck at this game, and I'm pretty good at Beat Saber, but I just cannot get the. I feel like I'm hitting on the note, but for some reason I'm just slightly off. And I tried playing about with all the hammer settings and tweaking the setup, and I just couldn't get it so that I was on beat, and it was just driving me nuts. So I hate this game. I think it's shit. Yeah, I like the music though. I think the music's really good.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Oh you like heavy metal and shit like that. Yeah.
I don't mind it. I think
Okay.
like I listen to it sometimes when I'm working out. So I like it gets you going, doesn't it? Like listening to stuff like that.
Yeah.
And some of the music's really cool. Some of it's really quite funny as well. There's one about pirates and stuff, and
Oh yeah.
yeah,
Pirate booty or something? Is that what it's
yeah.
called?
It was just, and there was one about Mexico, which was quite ironic because Josh is going to Mexico soon. So it was all about we're going to Mexico where there's no snow and all this sort of stuff. And
Yeah.
it was. The songs are quite diverse and they've got a good rhythm to them. It's not like just straight metal with people screaming. There's
Yeah.
some really cool ones.
Yeah, and I don't know. It might be up to 8 players at once. I'm not sure the exact number, but you can see each other's boats. So in your peripheral vision, you'll see the other guy passing you, and you're like,
Peripheral
shit.
vision, they were just all. You guys were just There was
Yeah,
sometimes
yeah,
when I couldn't
yeah.
even see you guys. That was how
Yeah.
far behind I was.
Yeah. Well, Yvonne would pass me, and then I would hit my symbol, and then I would pass him, and then he'd pass me, and it was like really stressful.
Yeah, you two were having a good. We
Yeah.
discovered that you had a good tactic. If you talk about your bottom, you
Yeah.
talk about your bumhole.
Yeah. I talk
Apparently that
about-
distracts him, and then you get to he misses some beats, and then
Yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah, I was saying whatever I could to try to distract him, and vice versa.
yeah, it was
But
fun.
he was still kicking my ass.
Okay, so shall I talk about mine next, or you talk about yours?
Yeah.
Mine, yep.
Yeah. Hitman.
Yeah, Hitman's just had a massive update where they've basically merged Hitman 1, 2, and 3 together into it's now called Hitman World of Assassination.
I'm curious about this.
So yeah, so you don't have to buy all three games. You just buy that game, and you get all three games, and you can play them all in VR. So that's makes things way easier. Because when I bought the game, I had to merge. Like you have to merge the games together and shit. It's a bit annoying.
Hmm.
Um,
But you have it on Epic, right?
Yeah, I have it on Epic. Yeah, but it's
Okay.
easier on Steam. I think if you owned them all on Steam, it just did it automatically. But I had one game on Steam. I had one game on Epic. I had another one. I think two games. Yeah, I think two games were on Steam, one on Epic. So I had to mess around with it.
How do you merge them then? If they're in different stores?
You had to go through some sort of website and stuff, but you don't need
Hmm.
to do that anymore. So if you buy the game now, you're just gonna get all of them. If you pick it on a sale, it's actually a really good deal. You've got three games in one basically. Um, the game itself, I've been trying to put some time into this game because I do want to like the game because it's obviously a AAA game that you can play in VR, and the game itself, like some of the environments are really beautiful to look at in VR, and they're so full of life, and there's like people walking around, and talking, and having conversations, and there's so much detail. But I'm finding that as I'm progressing through the game, because it's got dynamic resolution, so if your system can't achieve frame rate, it'll just bring the resolution down. And what I'm finding is now I'm on to Hitman 2 as the levels get more complicated and better looking because obviously they progressed with each game, they got better and better looking. That the resolution is just getting lower and lower,
Hmm.
so that it just looks blurry. Whereas I played through the full game and it looked pretty good, but now it's kind of looking more and more blurry. So it's just kind of putting a bit of a damper on that side of things for
No
me.
way to turn off the dynamic resolution, I guess.
No, no, which is absolutely sucks because I'd rather just have some dips in frame rate than have to look at blurry. Even with reshade and stuff, it just looks
And
blurry.
don't you put the super sampling up really high also?
Yeah, but that doesn't really help
Doesn't help.
because
Hmm.
obviously it's just gonna reduce the resolution down with the dynamic resolution. You can put it up
Uh,
high, and it helps. With the earlier, like the first game, I found that really helped because that game's not as heavy as the newer ones. But it's still a good game. I played the first level in Hitman 2 is in New Zealand on this beach, and you have to infiltrate a villa. There's no one in the village. You have to find a way to get into this villa. It looks really good. That one looked really nice. And you have to get some data, and then once you download the data, a bunch of guys show up in trucks and stuff, and you have to try and take out one of the a target, and then you have to escape. And I really enjoyed that level because it felt more action. You could actually go, and I had my silenced pistol, and in fact, you can even go through like the safe. There's a safe room which you can open, and it's got loads of guns in there, so you can get like full automatic weapons and stuff, and you can kind of play it more like an action first person shooter that level. So that was actually probably my favorite level in the game because it felt like an action shooter where I was going through room to room through this villa, taking out guys. I was on the beach, hiding these this tall grass. I was hiding underneath that, taking out my target, and then escaping.
were you hanging out with bikini babes?
No, it was at night. There was no one around,
Oh, no,
unfortunately.
okay.
But yeah, but majority of the other levels are very stealth orientated. You have to try and find disguises. You have to listen to conversations. You've got to find different ways to get to your targets. Try and take them out without being detected. Because if you get detected, there's so many guys. The chances are you're not gonna make it. You're gonna die. Or if you're lucky, you can take a few guys out, run away, hide somewhere, find a different disguise, and you're okay again. But I'm just finding myself frustrated with how slow paced the game is sometimes because sometimes if it was mixed, if it was like that was how it was sometimes, but then there were times where you got a bit more action and you could shoot and kill some people and it'd be fine. But because that's the entire game is just that, it just gets to the point where I play a level and then I just don't touch it for weeks because it's just the gameplay is just so slow paced. You really got to have a lot of patience for this game. You can't rush it. You've got to take your time, try and figure out ways to get to your target. And the VR implementation is poor as well, which doesn't help. There's no room scale, so if you play stood up like me and turn your body, you constantly the body does follow you like rotationally, but it doesn't move with you within your room. So even if you try and stay central to your room, eventually you are going to drift around a little bit. So then you have to press the reset button on to straighten all your body up and everything, and it just ruins kind of the immersion of it. And then the hands don't line up with the gun with your in-game hands and the guns and stuff. So your hands are kind of sat on top of the controllers instead of actually being where your hands are in real life.
Mm-hmm.
So when you twist your wrist, you twist your wrist in real life, but the in-game hand will move kind of around your existing real life hand. So you twist your wrist, and the in-game hand moves like twice or three times as much. So every tiny little movement you make in your wrist is exaggerated, which means that if you've got a gun in your hand and you're trying to aim, every tiny little movement will just make the gun really twitchy and hard to aim. So it just ruins a lot of that. It could be really cool to be there and shoot and stuff if the controls were more solid, but even that's just not very good. And the two-handed weapons are really, really bad. Some of the worst I've experienced in any VR game. They're kind of one-handed, but you can bring your other hand over to two-hand them, but it's the left hand has no control over the angle of the gun. But even if you try and one-hand them, they feel weird, and there's some sort of weird dampening effect to it. It's just really bad. Really bad. I can't use two-handed weapons in that game at all.
I got offered a key for this, but they wanted to give it to me on PlayStation, and I was like, no. I don't have a PSVR. Yeah. I don't think they probably don't even care about VR. They just want somebody to play it flat. And then I never heard back from them. So I'm probably not going to get a key for Hitman World of Assassination.
It'd be interesting if they update it for PSVR 2, and maybe they fix some of the issues, and if they can make use of the foveated rendering on the, with the eye tracking, and they can make it look a lot better. Because I've heard that the PSVR 1 version looks very, very blurry. I mean, it looks bad on PC. Mm-hmm. I can't imagine how bad it must look on PlayStation.
Yeah.
And the game was using DualShock, so you weren't using motion controls, but you could use the DualShock as a motion control.
Yeah.
But that's not going to work well.
Yeah.
So it's a shame because this is the sort of thing we want. We want these big AAA games like this, but they've just done such a bad job of porting it over. I just wish the people within Sony, and I wish they had some sort of quality control that would say, no, this is not good enough. You need to do a better job, because obviously Sony, I'm pretty sure Sony funded this, so it's a shame that Sony themselves aren't saying, this should be a bit better and pushing for it to be better. And then they brought it to PC on their own, to be fair. Obviously, no one paid for that. But then they did like a half-assed job, and they didn't quite get it right. And some stuff like the position of the hands, that's an easy fix. They've just got to adjust the position of the game hand to relation to where the motion controllers are. So, and I made a video about all this sort of stuff, and I posted it to them, and I've emailed them, and they've done nothing with it. So it's a real shame.
Did they reply at all?
No.
Okay.
These big AAA studios, you never get any sort of response for them. That's the thing. Like with indies, you can message them and you can get into conversations about stuff. But with AAA, it's like trying to email Bethesda about, a problem with Fallout 4. You're never going to get any sort of response to it. So they just do their own thing, and then they're off on the next big project, and they don't care.
Okay. Well,
are you going to try this game?
I'm not going to buy it. Oh, yeah, I could play it. Oh, wait, you have it on Epic, so I can't.
Yeah, I don't have it on
I'm
Epic.
not going to buy it. No.
Well, even if it was like $10 or something.
10 I would, but it's not going to get to 10.
Eventually, it's been out for a long time.
I think at full price, Hitman World of Assassination is $70. And it's on sale for like $35. I'm not paying that.
Yeah. I mean, you could try it for a couple hours and refund it. But
I could do that. Maybe.
I don't think... I mean, it's a full... I mean, you get a lot of content.
Like, what I'd rather play?
What?
I'd rather play Compound.
Go on, then you talk about Compound again.
Compound. I can't get enough Compound. See, this is a game, it doesn't look anywhere near as good as Hitman, but of course it's not blurry. There's no dynamic resolution bullshit. but
No.
like the gameplay, it's so fun. I can't stop playing it. And what I keep coming back for is the leaderboard, because there's a leaderboard for every difficulty. So, and you can see what place you are in the world, and you can see where your friends are, and so like you can keep trying to get a better score. And but I learned recently the Quest 2 version. This is on Quest 2 standalone also, that there's no leaderboard on that version. Which I was like, oh shit, that sucks, because that's like one of the main things that keeps me coming back. So hopefully the developer is going to add that.
That's weird.
I found I was wondering if the leaderboards are like cross-platform, and then I looked on the Discord and found out that no, there's not even a leaderboard.
I wonder why they did that, because if they've already got the leaderboards for PC, I don't understand
Yeah.
why they would not do it for, even if it's just a Quest-only version leaderboard. So
Hopefully he's adding it, because I know he's still updating it, and he said he's
I
working
wonder how
on
well
an
it's
update.
sold on the Quest.
Yeah, I'd
Because I
like
know
to know.
it's an old game now for PC, but
He might tell me, because I talk to him sometimes
well,
on
we could have a
Discord.
look at the. Let me have a look at the reviews.
The number
'Cause
of
you can
reviews. Yeah.
yeah, you can usually tell by looking at reviews to see how many.
So there's a lot of stuff to unlock, and there's this whole trophy case in the game, and then of course it has Steam achievements. But like I'm at like 78%. I'm trying to get to 100%. It's gonna take a while because there's these thing called mutators. There's a vending machine that you push a button to choose the mutator you want, and there's I don't know, maybe 8 different mutators, and then it'll drop down, and you take it out of the vending machine just like you would a real vending machine, and it's a syringe, and you inject it into yourself, and then that's how you apply the mutator. My favorite one is the damage amplifier, which makes you die in one shot and makes all of your enemies also die in one shot. I love that because it's high stakes and you're super stressed out, but you can get through the levels fast because everyone dies with one shot. And so I'll keep playing that. Do you see any numbers?
Yeah, I mean it's got 1,600 views on Steam, and it's got 336 reviews on Quest. So it doesn't look like it's sold particularly well on the Quest, unfortunately. Which is a shame, because I imagine a lot of these reviews from Steam are, from over a long time, over a long period of time.
It hasn't been out on Quest very long. It's a
When is
recent
it?
thing. Yeah. What's the release date of the show?
Uh, December, yeah. So it's
Yeah,
been
December. Okay.
a couple of months.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a shame, because I do feel like it's a great game, but I'm just not sure. I guess it's the demand for kind of like the retro style, whether that's something that a lot of people are going to go for.
Mm-hmm.
But it is a great. I mean, I don't like roguelites, and I'm not even really a retro gamer, so I'm not the target audience for this game. But I have played some of it, and I can appreciate what he's done, and it is a good game, definitely.
You've probably never seen any of the bosses. There's multiple different bosses, but if you play it, if you just played it on easy, you're not going to see any of the bosses except for
Yeah.
the final boss.
Right.
If you play on higher difficulties, you're gonna see lots of different crazy bosses, which are pretty cool.
Yeah.
Yeah. So for that, I'm letting people know that, because for people that played it maybe a long time ago or just played the demo, you wouldn't have seen any of that stuff. He's updated so many things.
Yeah, he's added a lot. I mean, a lot of different weapons and stuff as well. Because when
Yeah.
I played it early days when it was very basic, and I played it more recently, and yeah, they definitely added a lot of different content.
Yeah. There's tons of weapons now.
And yeah, if you're into retro games and roguelites, then it's an absolute must play. So.
Yeah.
And I'll tell you what game I have been addicted to, though.
What's that?
Neon White.
Ah.
We talked about this a while ago, I think. But this is a mod for a non-VR game. But I recently got back into it, and I'm absolutely addicted to it. It's kind of like a speedrunning game, where you've got different levels, and you have to get to the level at the end of the level as fast as you can, whilst also you've got to kill all these demons, and every demon's got like a different thing. So they'll drop these power-ups, and you get the power-up, which gives you a gun, and you can use your gun like an alternate fire, which gets rid of the gun, which gives you an extra like ability. So you get a pistol, which then you can use as a double jump. You can get a rifle, which gives you like a dash move. You've got later on in the game, you get a rocket launcher, which you can use to rocket jump literally into the air, and then you can use it as a grappling hook. So it's really, really cool game. I mean, it's got really good reviews on flat, but in VR, it's really cool. It's very fast paced. You're going through these levels, and you kind of get into a flow. So what I found is like the game will give you the card you need for the next little section. So all you've got to think about is, you kill an enemy, you get a rifle which has got a dash attack. Immediately, your mind just needs to be going towards, okay, so where do I need to dash to? Because that's what you're going to need to do. And then if you get a double jump, you're looking at, okay, when am I going to need to use that double jump? And you really just get into this flow. This has got leaderboards as well, so you probably like that.
I've only played it once. I need to go back in.
Yeah, to get to the leaderboards, you've got to get gold on the levels first. You don't get them immediately, but you're going to need to get at least gold to even get on the leaderboards, because obviously when I've been looking, I'm not number one. There's plenty of people ahead of me in the times, but each level has a time. So you've got bronze, silver, gold, and then you've got the ace times, which is like the fastest medal you can get. So you've got loads of different levels. I think there's like 10 levels per area, and there's 12 different areas. So there's really loads of different levels, and they progressively get more complicated with different weapons and different abilities and stuff. But what I've been enjoying the most is actually going back and then just getting the times. I've got gold on pretty much everything now. So now I've gone back again to the first levels and I'm getting the ace times. But what I like about the ace times is that you've got your set path where you've got to go down, where you've got to kind of like go down this, it's pretty linear. There's not really any different variety to how you tackle it. It's just a case of going through it in this set route and using the abilities in a set order to finish the level as fast as you can. But to get to the ace times, you've got to try and find these shortcuts, and you've got a hint system. If you get a gold, it gives you a hint system where there'll be like a little symbol which shows you which way you should be going. You can turn it off as well if you want to figure it out for yourself, but I wouldn't recommend it because you're going to struggle to figure it out sometimes. Like, and it's really cool, even just getting the ace times and going through a level and then trying to see where the shortcut is and actually pulling off the shortcut and then getting to the end and getting the ace time, getting the ace medal. Really fun. I've just been working my way back through the game. I've put over 10 hours into this game now, and I'm still not close to finishing all the ace medals. So there's plenty of content there. There is a story stuff and like kind of like anime type of waifu type of all that crappy. Yeah, I just, you can skip past all that if you don't like it, which I did.
Yeah.
But the actual gameplay is so fun, really good fun, and the mods are really good as well. I definitely think you'd like this, Justin. I'm surprised you haven't liked it.
It's a struggle for my brain. I can't think fast enough.
I think once you get into like I say, once you understand and the flow, all you've got to think about is you get a weapon. Majority of the time, you've got a gun. All the weapons are guns, which you then can discard and use the extra abilities. But majority of the time, you're not actually using the gun. Like if you get a pistol, majority of the time you might shoot a couple of things, but majority of the time you're using it for the extra ability. So there's levels where you just, it's so fast. You get this dash. There's one where you get like a dash, and then you've got one which is like a stomp. So it's like an Uzi, but you can use it as a stomp where you stomp down really quickly. And I just did a level where you dash, you stomp, you dash, you stomp, you explode some barrels, you get flying up into the air, you dash, stomp. You just like, once you get into that flow, you're constantly moving. You never stood still. You're just like, moving, power up. It's really fun, really good. You should play it, definitely.
I'll try it again. Yeah, like I love To the Top, which is, I guess it's, what's the difference between these two? There's no gunplay, and
To the top is just just movement.
You're just moving. You're just flying through.
With To the Top, you kind of like What I don't like about To the Top is all you're doing is you kind of just point and click almost. You just click, and then you're up in the air and you're looking for the next thing you've got to grab to then click, and then you click. And I just didn't find that particular. I would rather you have to like grab and then like throw yourself off things, but you didn't really have to do that. You just kind of clicked on something, let go of the click, which then sent you flying somewhere else, and it made me sick as well. But I probably won't experience that nowadays.
Yeah, and then
But
neon white, yeah, you don't get any, you don't feel any kind of motion
oh
sickness with
no,
it.
I can play
Like
this.
you would think. I think a lot of people I heard say they don't experience any motion sickness in it, which is kind of
Yeah, I don't
surprising.
know why. There's some levels where you don't even touch the ground. Like when you get the rocket launcher, that's so much fun. The levels, you're literally constantly flying through the air. You rocket jumping off things. You're using your grappling hook to swing different sections. It's just so much fun. Honestly, you need to play more of it. It's one of the best games I've played in VR for a while, and it's great. The mod's great. Like, don't let it be put off by it being a mod. I highly recommend this game.
Yeah, most of these mods, you're just copying some files into a folder, and that's it.
Yeah, I mean,
Like,
it's got its own this one's got its own launcher. So
yeah.
you launch the launcher. It's one button which installs it, and then you press another button and it starts the game. It's as simple as that.
But you don't even have to use a launcher usually. Usually you can just open the game from Steam and it goes into VR automatically. That's what happens.
Yeah,
Like Bendy and the Ink Machine, it uses Raikou Part as launcher, but you don't have to use the launcher.
yeah. I think once you've installed it, you can just launch it if you want
Yeah.
from Steam as well.
Yeah.
But yeah, they're really easy to use. A lot of these mods, so easy to use. Yeah. It's one of the best mods that we've had recently. I think one of the best games to play. Anyway, I'll let you move on to what's the next one.
Timberman VR. This was on sale. I think it's still on sale on Steam for like 79 cents or something. So I bought it. It was 90% off. I was already interested in it because I had seen some people play Timberman, but they, like the flat version, they played it, 2-player. This is only 1-player, unfortunately. I told the devs they need to add multiplayer. It's a rhythm game, basically, where you're cutting down trees. And so
You're supposed to do it to a rhythm.
it's not to a rhythm. It's not. I don't know. It's technically it's not a rhythm game because you
Yeah.
don't have to. It doesn't matter. Like there's no.
Yeah, because I tried it, but when you
Yeah,
said that, I thought, well, I didn't kind of do it to the rhythm. But
the music sucks.
I turned that off.
Yeah, I muted the music. It's terrible. I told the developers they need to fix that. It's horrible.
Yeah, I bet they loved it. I bet they loved you.
Yeah, I don't know. What do you call it? It's not really a rhythm game, but what do you call it? Like.
I think it's just like it's kind of, in a way, it's kind of like Neon White in a way, the way you've just got to do things as fast as you can. You're just up against the clock.
Yeah.
You've got levels. You've got these pieces of this tree in front of you. You've got an axe and you've got a machete, and then you just kind of, you chop through the tree in one direction or another direction. It's got a little arrow. Sometimes you have to kind of hit the tree stump out with your back of your axe, and then you use your machete to chop off branches. So you kind of like chop off the branch, chop through the tree. I mean, I played for 5 minutes and I was like, I don't understand why you even like this game.
79. No, I don't. It's 79 cents.
Okay.
So I was just.
Okay.
I put it on Discord, being like, "Hey, it's 79 cents. It's not bad."
Oh, right. Yeah.
I wouldn't recommend it for any higher really, but I thought it was kind of fun.
Yeah, it's okay.
You have to think, but I don't know. It keeps changing, like it keeps progressing, like where there'll be like metal on the tree, and you have to hit it a specific way to get the metal off, and then underneath the metal you'll have the arrow where you have to hit it to the right, and then or whatever, and then you have to avoid their animals on some of the branches, and you need to not hit the animals, and it's just like they keep changing. So for 79 cents, I think it's pretty cool, especially if they added multiplayer.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's nothing great at all.
No, I mean
No.
it's yeah. I mean it's not. It wasn't something I wanted to spend any time in. But
Yeah.
if you like that sort of thing, you'll just watch the trailer. You can see the trailer does a good job of showing you exactly what sort of game it is.
Yeah, and you stand in one spot. It's not like Neon White, where Neon White you're flying through levels. This is just standing in one spot.
You literally stood swinging an axe around, basically.
Yeah.
Got anything else to say on that? Or shall I move on?
Nah, there's not much to say with that. You can unlock different axes and machetes. Machetes? Wait, you said it in your British accent. Now I can't say it the way I
No,
would
I just
say
said
it.
machete.
Machete. Yeah.
And how you say it?
I think in America we just say machete.
Machete?
Machete. I think that's how we say it.
Machete? We just normally say machete.
Yeah.
But I think this correct way is like...
Machete?
Machete?
Oh, okay.
I'm sure Ivan will know how to say it.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, so I'll talk about Zero Caliber, which obviously came out a while ago, but it got a big mega update, which apparently is 200% better than the previous version, and it's got reworked AI, and they've redone all the levels, and everything's better.
Is it more manly?
More manly. Fuck yeah. um, yeah, I mean, Zero Caliber was already. If you want a shooter, first-person shooter VR game that's not multiplayer, we ain't got a lot of choice. So, this is one of the better ones we've got. It's got a single-player campaign which you can also play up to 4 people co-op, and you work through. You've got the story that's to it. You work through level to level. It's the closest thing we've got to like Call of Duty in VR, basically. Set pieces. You sometimes you've got to defend on a big machine gun. Sometimes you've got to snipe from a distance. Yeah, it's a good game. The update does seem to improve a lot of things. I think some things are better. I think visually some things have been downgraded a little bit, which I think probably is to do with the Quest. But it's not to the point where it's not. It don't look bad. It just looks fine. I mean, the game is not. It was never the best looking game anyway in VR, but it was competent, and it's still competent looking now. The gunplay is good. I think the way that your gun handling, the way that you reload and everything's good. Sometimes it can be a bit clunky, picking things up, and we tried to revive each other when we were playing, and figuring out how to revive. Like, we were walking over each other's bodies, clicking all the buttons. We couldn't figure it out, but yeah, I mean, I think if you're looking for a game that's not multiplayer, first-person shooter VR game that you can play co-op, I just don't think you can go wrong with this. I think it's one of the better ones we've got. It's not, it's not AAA, but it's not terrible. Have you played this game?
I own it, but I've only ever played the demo, and I didn't like the demo. And
Right.
it was really bad performance, but that was back in like 1080
performance
Ti
is
days.
way better now. Yeah,
Way
I mean,
better, okay.
I think since the update, I think that's why they probably downgraded a few bits. But performance is like super smooth. You won't have any performance issues. Yeah, you should join us with this one day. I mean, I don't mind replaying some of the levels as well because it's fun. That's the thing. Like, an average kind of average. I mean, an average game like this, it's very average. It's nothing like, if it was flat, non-VR, people would be like, this is shit. But in VR, because it's got good quality controls, everything feels good, it shoots good, the gameplay's fun. It's it's a fun game to play in VR. And I was talking to Josh about this, about how we've really not got a lot of high quality single player AAA, not even AAA, just good quality first person shooters where you're going through shooting stuff. It's surprising. After all this time, we still haven't got a lot of them.
Is it better than Onward?
Yeah.
I uninstalled Onward.
I mean, Onward's got that co-op. I did like the co-op in Onward, but it's not really missions. You just get spawned into a level, and you've got to take out a certain amount of enemies. This is actually point-to-point levels where you've got to go through, and there's stuff happens. There's explosions. Like, there's one level where you've got like mortar strikes coming down around you, and there's rain and there's thunder and there's lightning, and it looks really cool. Yeah, there's this. Like I say, it's a good, competent single player to co-op shooter. I think they're adding mod support, and I think they're going to be adding PvP as well. So I think it's a good game. I really do. I think it's fun.
I think I just have a thing inherently against just like military shooters. There's got to be something unique. Like,
Yeah.
Like Half-Life has like aliens and shit. And
Yeah, I mean, those are the sort of games we really want. We should like
Yeah.
Resident Evil, where it's got all these crazy stuff going on, and
yeah, that's the
like-
type of shit I want. And
but I also do like a good Call of Duty campaign
Yeah.
or a Battlefield campaign, and we haven't got anything in like that in VR apart from, I think this is the closest we've got. And you've got Medal of Honor, which is also, I think, personally pretty good. It's not a bad game. It's
Yeah,
not
I like
the best
Medal of
game.
Honor.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, there you go. That's kind of what it is.
That's
It's just-
military, but it's like more. I guess it's because it's World War II.
yeah.
There's a story. Maybe I was more interested in that.
Medal of Honor is a AAA game.
Yeah.
Obviously, visually it's much better. The story more interesting. it's got its problems, pacing wise and stuff, but I still think Medal of Honor is good.
Yeah.
It's a shame that the multiplayer wasn't populated because the multiplayer was good. Like the level designs were good, the gunplay was solid. I really liked Medal of Honor. I thought it was. I just thought it had a really rough start, and there was some pacing problems, and overall I thought it got a really bad reputation. But I think that overall it's a good. Again, I think that's probably the best. Well, not the best because you've got Half-Life, Alex, and stuff like that. But it's definitely one of the best single-player shooters we've got in VR. The problem I've got with it is it's bloody massive. It's 200 and something gigabyte. Because I was going to install it actually to play again because I'm really struggling for things to play at the moment, which I'll talk about towards the end of this video.
Did you not beat it?
Yeah, I finished it.
Oh, you already? So you're gonna play it again?
I've played it again. I went through and did some of my favorite missions, before. Because if sometimes I just want to go in a game where I'm just, I'm shooting stuff and I'm just playing a game. I don't want to be, and I'm not really a big multiplayer guy. You go into these Pavlov and all that stuff, and you just spend most of your time dying. So, I really like single player stuff where you're going through a mission and levels and stuff.
Yeah.
And we just ain't got enough. That's my problem.
All right, so we both tried Subnautica with motion controls. There's a mod out where you can add motion controls to the original Subnautica, and we both had trouble with it. So we both, when we first loaded in, for me the game was frozen basically, except for I had the PDA in my left hand and I could move that around, but I couldn't get out of that. Was it frozen for you too?
Well, I just couldn't close the PDA. I didn't know how to close it, so I couldn't progress.
But was the game world, was it just like frozen, like sitting still, not moving? Because that's how mine was.
Remember, Did you get the fire extinguisher? I got the fire extinguisher and I sprayed that and got rid of the fire.
I didn't play the game for real. I just went in to just
try
the motion controls.
Oh, so you would booted up a save?
Oh, I booted up a save. Yeah. I didn't go into a new game.
I started a new game because I've not played much of it. So maybe that might have caused problems. I don't know. But I booted a new game up. You end up in the ship. You actually pick up the fire extinguisher, and you can use it with the motion controls and put it out and stuff. That all worked fine.
I guess I should have done that.
And then it opens up the PDA for you to teach you that sort of stuff. And I just couldn't figure out how to close it.
It might be tab. Did you try that?
What, on the keyboard?
Yeah, on the keyboard. Yeah.
Oh, I didn't. I was trying to use it because you've got the PDA in one hand, literally with them, like you can move it around with your motion control, and then you've got your other hand, which is kind of like a laser pointer, which you can use to scroll through it. So everything felt like if it worked, and I could have closed it down, and everything, it felt good. But I don't know if the bindings are good for the index controllers or something. I want to go back to it, but I was kind of giving it a chance to hopefully maybe someone will make some better bindings for the index controllers because I just really didn't want to mess around with it.
The first time I went into it, the game world was frozen, and I was, loading up my old save from where I, beat the game basically.
Yeah.
So maybe that was an issue, but the game world was frozen, but I could move the PDA around. Then I closed that, and then another day I went back in to try again, and the game world wasn't frozen. I'm not sure why, and I went around and tried to use the motion controls. I read that you can't use the motion controls in the Seamoth, but you can in the Cyclops. So I had a Cyclops right there, which is the biggest ship in the game. I went into the Cyclops, and I got my hands on the steering wheel, but then I couldn't get anything to happen. And I was having issues. I
think the bindings aren't good for the. I've got a feeling that whoever made the mod probably haven't got an index. So they probably just they put in something basic, and it probably needs someone to make some good bindings.
I'm too lazy to go into the bindings.
I'm exactly the same. I opened up the thing with the bindings, and I was like, I just couldn't figure out what I was supposed to be doing.
Yeah.
I know with like Resident Evil, you could go into Steam VR and actually rebind stuff, but for some reason it wasn't showing like all the different, like with Resident Evil, you could actually see it showed you what each thing was doing, like, oh, this one does the map, and I could bind something to my controller in game, whereas this didn't really do that. It was just like generic bindings. So I just couldn't figure out how to rebind it, and I figured someone will probably do it at some point, and I'll just come back to it.
Yeah.
But I felt good what I could play, and I definitely would, because I've not played much of the game. So I would like to go back and with the motion controls, like I say, yeah, I had the fire extinguisher and I was putting it out and everything. Felt good,
And it
but it's
adds
just
settings for motion controls to the options menu of the game, so you can go in there and change stuff. Like there was an option to see your hands or
yeah.
something. Yeah,
I think you can have it so that they're off because I think by default they're not there like
yeah,
when you're swimming and stuff. But
yeah.
I think it's mostly for like building. You can use it for flight, using the like in your when you're in a ship, you can use your hands to control stuff. I'm
Yeah.
definitely. I think it's still in development, so I'm definitely interested to see where it goes. But
Mm-hmm.
it's cool that someone's even trying to do it.
Yeah. Yeah. So we got it off the Flat to VR Discord.
Yeah, it's in like a beta. It's not in like a public thing. You've got to go digging for it in a
Yeah.
Discord server to find it. So it's not. It's not like a big thing that's out on Nexus or anything like that right now. So
Mm.
it's still early. So we probably tried it before it was ready for us to really play.
There's also on Nexus there's a VR enhancements mod which you're gonna want to install for Subnautica, which will make various improvements to make VR better.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's definitely if you're playing it with gamepad and that, you definitely need that. It just
Yeah.
makes the PDA not as close to your face and adjusts some stuff, which makes it more
I
comfortable.
mean, I beat the game before that mod existed, so it's possible.
Yeah, yeah. That because I never tried it until that was out. So, but
Hmm.
I heard that the PDA was like really close to
Yeah,
your
it's
face.
close, but I could still,
Makes your eyes
use
hurt.
it
Yeah,
and, do all my crafting and all that shit.
I don't know how you did that.
Yeah, I don't know. I loved it. I loved it. That's one of my favorites.
I know you
Yeah.
like that grind.
Yep. Yep. So
The other
you want?
game that I tried, which was a mod, which came out recently, is Metal Hellsinger, which is a rhythm kind of. It's like a cross between Doom and a rhythm game. If that's, I don't know if that makes sense, but you in like a Doom kind of looking environment. You've got to kill loads of demons and stuff. And then you've got this heavy metal music playing, and you have to shoot to the beat. And if you shoot to the beat, you get scores. And if you get more, the more you stay on rhythm, like the metal music evolves. So it starts off with just like the guitar, and then it'll add more to it, and then eventually you get the full song playing with the vocals and everything. And yeah, it's very fast paced. You're having to double jump and dash around. Unfortunately, the performance is really, really rough. I think it's probably the worst performing mod I've tried, and it's something that the modders looking into ways to try and improve it. But even people on the Discord who've got really powerful rigs like 4090s and the highest CPUs and everything, they could only get like 45 frames per second, and they were having to use ASW to double it up. So there's something going on there with this new Unity games because GTFO was the same. It was a game that was really bad performance, but it didn't look anything special, and it's based on the same code for the mod for that as well. So I think there's something going on in the background with these mods, whether it's something to do with the Unity version or whether it's the actual code that's actually enabling VR that's not quite right. There's something going on which is not quite right, but performance is just really, really rough. So unless you've got a really, really high end system, I can't really recommend you try this right now. You might be better off waiting to see if it gets updated.
I've tried rhythm games before, like Crypt of the Necro Dancer. I don't know if you've ever heard that or heard of that,
No.
but I don't know. I can't play these games where you have to follow a certain beat while you're fighting enemies. I don't
I
know.
think it's quite good. I mean,
I just
I
can't do
played
it.
through quite a bit of it, but I was getting like, you know, mid mid 30, like 35, 40 frames, and
Hmm.
I turned super sampling down to 100%, so it was quite shimmery because there's no real anti-aliasing, so it didn't look particularly great, and performance was rough. But the gameplay is fun. Like actually, I found it quite fun to, the I don't. I mean, I'm not a massive metal fan, but I thought the music was decent. And when you do string a few shots together and you start shooting to the beat and the music starts to kick in, it's quite good. I think the game's fun, but I just can't play it with the performance it's at now.
What happens when you're not shooting anybody?
The music just kind of plays, just like you get like kind of like imagine like the basic instrumental.
Uh huh.
So you imagine like you've just got the guitar and stuff playing the metal like the electric guitar, and then there'll be like extra. There's like layers to obviously a track, and just more layers come in as you start getting into. When you're just walking around, it's like the basic music, and then as you get into a gunfight, it starts to sort of expand as you shoot to the beat.
So you're not getting penalized for missing the
No,
beat?
I don't think you. I don't think you get penalized. You can shoot off beat if you want to,
Okay.
but obviously, if you want the scores and everything, and you want the music to kind of ramp up, because I think the big incentive for me is getting the music to ramp up, because it just feels satisfying when you get the music kick in and you know that you're keeping the music going by shooting to the beat. That's what probably keeps me going rather than the scoring system and stuff. But I don't think you get penalized. I don't know. I don't. Maybe the enemies die easier if you shoot them on the beat, but you can still kill them even if you don't shoot them on the beat. So.
Okay,
But we'll see if performance gets improved, and then we'll revisit that one, because I think you might enjoy it if you could play it.
Okay, my next one is a mod for Outer Wilds called The Outsider. I learned about it from Raiku Parda, the guy that made the Outer Wilds mod, VR mod. He posted about it on the Flat to VR Discord on his like announcement sections. So this is like around a 3-hour long mod where it completely new story and puzzles and stuff that are on Dark Bramble, your favorite planet.
Oh god,
your favorite.
Oh, we're playing
planet.
that then.
Yeah, but most of it, from what I've seen so far, is on the outside. So like the outside of Dark Bramble in the regular game, you never go there, you never do anything there. But he put all these structures and buildings and all this stuff on the outside.
Oh, interesting.
So it's pretty cool. I haven't finished it yet. I think I feel like I've explored everything on the outside. There's probably some stuff I have to do on the inside, which you don't want to do. But this is it's intended to be played after you finished both the base game and Echoes of the Eye, because there's references to some stuff in Echoes of the Eye in the puzzles Did
you finish Echo of the Eye?
Yeah, I finished Echoes of the Eye.
I didn't realize you finished it.
I did it by having to look some stuff up. I wouldn't have been able to do it without looking some stuff up. Yeah. So it had, there's the stuff you have to read, this sort of like, what do you call it? Hieroglyphics almost. There's little spirals. There's all sorts of different dialogue to read and different story and, puzzles. So it's cool. If you like Outer Wilds, Outer Wilds is still one of my favorite games. Thought it was awesome. But some of it is pretty cryptic.
Oh yeah, it's a hard game. That's why I don't think I could ever I never finished it.
I don't think I ever would have finished it, without looking stuff up.
Yeah, but it's it's one of those games that in VR, even if you just go into it for a few hours, just flying around and visiting different stuff, it's just really cool. Like, the environments and the planets and even just flying the ship's fun. I just really enjoy that game.
You're going to struggle at first. Do you remember you told me that I should try it, and then when I first tried it, I was like, fuck this. This is too hard to control. What am I?
Yeah.
I couldn't figure it out, but then I kept persisting, and then now it's easy as hell for me to fly around.
Yeah, because it's like a semi-realistic, so you can't just keep the thrusters going. You've got to get little bursts, and then if you want to go backwards, you've got to cut. So if you're going forwards, you want to slow down, you have to kind of use your rear thrusters and press those, or just do them in short bursts just to try and reduce your speed. And it's really fun. I like the flying side of things because it's got that realism, and there's skill involved in actually flying around. So when you get good at it, you know that when you're swooping around and you land perfectly on a planet, that's down to you and your skill rather than the game being easy.
Yeah, there is an option for kind of like autopilot, but I don't ever turn that on, where you can
I tried it. Yeah. All it does is get you to the planet, though. It doesn't actually land you. You still got to land yourself. Okay. And maybe there is on flat, but in VR it never landed me. So it'll get you to where you need to go, but then you've got to still get down to the planet and land and everything. Yeah. So if you can't be bothered to just get to a planet, you can just autopilot to it, and it'll just fly you automatically to it, and then you can just land yourself. So.
The only other thing, I had a friend visit, and he's barely done VR. He's done a little bit of VR at my house, but I put him into first I started him with Half-Life Alyx, I think, and I
But at
thought
the
he could.
beginning of the game.
No, I probably should have,
That's
but
what I would have done. Yeah.
I just because he's already done VR before,
Right.
so I thought it was no big deal. But it was set on smooth locomotion, and like just the first little movement forward, he was like, "I can't do this.
Oh,
I can't
God.
do this." And I was like, "Oh shit,
One of
really?"
those.
Yeah. And I thought he had done VR before with smooth locomotion in my house, but I don't know. He was like, I can't, my brain can't handle this. So I had to put it on teleport. And then he was in some really like dark warehouse area trying to do puzzles. And it was like, I had to help him. And I was like, I got to put you in a different game. So I thought Compound would be good because that's pretty simple. And he couldn't. Again, he couldn't handle the smooth locomotion, and I was trying to figure out how to switch it to teleport. I couldn't figure it out. Then we're like, well, maybe Pavlov has.
Oh, God.
No, that doesn't have teleport. That doesn't have teleport either. So he couldn't do that. Then I was like, Medal of Honor. Maybe this guy is a cop, so I thought he would like this type of shit.
Yeah.
Medal of Honor, no teleport. I couldn't find any teleport option.
No, there's no teleport.
God. So like, I was like, all right, let me turn on all the comfort options, this vignette and all this shit. So then he started playing, and he seemed like he was okay. So he went around killing some Nazis for a while. I put him on like the last mission where there's just Nazis everywhere.
Yeah.
But after he came out, he was like, I don't know, man. I don't feel so great. That's a common problem I have with people that try VR with me. Probably I'm probably not putting them in the best games. Maybe.
Yeah, it's something that we forget though, as you know, people who've played for so long. Like you never experienced it, but when I first started out, I couldn't really handle, smooth locomotion stuff. But I hated teleport enough to just keep pushing and just get myself to the point where I could do it. But most people aren't going to do that. As soon as they feel any discomfort, they're going to be like, "No, I'm out.
Yeah.
No."
That's how I would feel if I had to do teleport. I wouldn't do VR. I'd be like, nope, not going to do this.
That's why I wouldn't want to show someone teleport, because then to me, teleport's just really not fun. But
yeah, it's so
some
jarring
people,
for me.
yeah, I feel it's worse because you're just kind of like blinking from one place to another.
Yeah.
Whereas at least you feel like more spatially aware of how you're moving through a game if you actually just smoothly kind of moving forward.
At least the smooth movement is more like how I move in real life.
Yeah.
I don't teleport around in real life.
But some people really can't handle that. Or maybe they can. And I think a lot of people really just, as soon as they feel any sort of discomfort, like I say, I think they're just done. Then they won't keep playing. I think if they would get sick if you kept playing, but I think with time anyone can get past it. You've just got to keep having breaks and then coming back to it, and eventually your brain just gets used to it. But most people just ain't gonna get that far, I don't think, which is a problem.
I put his girlfriend in Beat Saber, and she seemed unimpressed with that. And then I put her in Kayak VR Mirage, and she didn't seem that impressed either.
Yeah.
So I don't know.
Sometimes I've tried showing my brother VR. I've even given him my Quest headset to play, and he literally bought it back and said, "Yeah, I'm not using it." So it's like, I can't even give VR away to some people. So it's just not everyone. Not everyone's gonna want to do VR. It's just as simple as that. We have to accept that some people just aren't interested. They're just are they gamers or are they just regular? No,
they're not gamers. They're regular people.
Yeah. See, my brother's a gamer, but I think he's just lazy, to be honest.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's always interesting putting people in VR, like seeing how they react and stuff. I always expect them to have the same reaction I did, where I'd put them in and they'd be like, "Oh my God, this is amazing! I need to go out and spend loads of money on this thing." But the truth is, most people aren't like that. You put them in, they're like, "Oh yeah, this is cool," and then that's it.
Some I've put in and they were blown away just by like the home environment. They were just like, "Oh my God!" And then some you put them in and they're just like, "This is it? What?"
Yeah. My brother's like that. He's not easily impressed. So I've never pushed it since, because he's got a PS5. He could buy a PSVR 2. He's got a PC with a 3080 Ti. He's got everything he needs. I've given him a headset which he could hook up to a PC. I said he could have my access to all my library. He could play Half-Life Alyx and everything for free. Free headset, and he still ain't interested. So
wow.
There's only so much I can do. I'm not gonna do more than that.
All right, so now we're going to talk about some upcoming games. This one is probably what I'm most excited about. Half-Life 2 Episode 1, the VR mod is coming Q1 of 2023. I heard it's ready, and they're just waiting for Valve to okay it.
Could be because because Valve gave them the source code, but it's subject to Valve approving everything that goes on because it gets put on as an actual game. It's not a mod that you install in a folder. It's literally
Yeah.
a VR game you download and you play.
Yeah.
So yeah, it could be. It could be any time this thing comes out. But yeah, I've been making a new video and I jumped into Half-Life 2 VR just to record some footage, and it's so much fun, that game.
And they've done a bunch of updates recently. I'm curious if you tried any of that, like noticed
Oh
any of
yeah,
that
it's
stuff.
so much polished. The polish they've had is incredible. Even just the gun feels better. They've got two-handed weapon, like your pistol. You've got like when I first played it, they only had they had one hand on one of the pistols, and the rest of the guns were floating guns.
Mm-hmm.
Now they've got proper hands for everything, and you can two-hand actual pistols and pull your hands together. They've made the recoil feel better. Before I felt it was a little bit too much. Now it feels really nice to use. They've like when you climb a ladder, it actually pops up and tells you like let go to get to the top, and even shows a little symbol of where you're going to land at the top. So they've made it really polished. It feels like a really polished game now. Yeah, and apparently there's some sort of big update coming with improved lighting and stuff at some point. But they've also added mod support.
Oh
So
yeah.
it's got workshop support now. So then you can go onto the workshop and people are uploading like higher quality models of different stuff, and
I saw something about somebody recreated Resident Evil 2, the original, like not the remake.
I think it's just assets that are remade in Source or something that you
Uh-huh.
can use for modding. I don't think it's an
Okay.
actual game.
Well, I saw somebody actually playing Resident Evil 2 levels in the Half-Life
Oh, I
engine.
might look at that then.
There's a video of it on YouTube.
Because I know there's loads of mods non-VR, so it'd be interesting if they all kind of. There's a level that's been ported over from, I can't remember what it's called, but I've not tried it, which is like a campaign level that you can play through, which is, there's loads of those kind of little short campaigns that you can play through with. So if you could play through those in VR with all the VR mod, that'd be cool. So I'm keeping my eye on it.
I'm not positive if that was a VR video or not, but it was like something YouTube threw at me, and maybe I just assumed. I can't remember.
There is a Resident Evil thing in the workshop, but I thought it was just assets or something. But I can have a look again and definitely see if it's some sort of campaign or something. But yeah, there's like a mod for arms, so you get arms, so you're not just floating hands, and there's all sorts of mods popping up. So yeah, it's definitely keep an eye on that.
Okay, a game, District Steel, comes out February 16th, but that game's been in the works for over 4 years.
Yep.
We used to hear Anthony of VR365 talk about it, over 4 years ago. So
It's
who
launching
knows?
into early access as well. It's not the
Oh,
full
yeah.
release.
Early
so
access still, yeah. All right, and there was a demo. I don't know if there still is.
I don't know. I don't know if it was part of one of them Steam Fest things or if you can still play it. But I tried the demo. Did you try it?
Yeah, it was okay.
Yeah. I mean, it's not bad. I think it's like got like a retro kind of feel to it, and you've got like a rocket jump which you can use with your left hand, so you can
that's
fly up into the air. You can activate slow motion. You can slide across the floor. You can like crouch and then slide under things, and I think gameplay wise it could be fun. I mean, visually it looked fine. It wasn't a bad looking game. It wasn't groundbreaking, but it was good enough.
I think I remember feeling like it was kind of hard, which is good.
Yeah, I think it's definitely going for like a retro shooter style gunplay where you're gonna have. It's not going to be easy. You're not going to just walk through it and kill everything, which is good. I mean, what's the point in having a game where you just breeze through it and it's not a challenge? So.
Yeah. Yeah. So then, Horizon Call of the Mountain, Resident Evil 8, and Gran Turismo 7 are the big three PlayStation VR 2 games coming out February 22nd. And you've been talking recently like you're a little bit more interested in this stuff.
I want to get one. I'm getting the bug.
Are you going to get it on launch or what?
No, I think I can't. If I had the spare cash, I would do it, but I ain't got the money for it really, because I'd have to buy a PS5 and I'd have to buy one, and if I could just buy the headset, I'd probably do it. because I ain't got a PS5, it's literally £1,000, and
Mm-hmm.
obviously I ain't got that sort of money. But I do want. I was thinking about this actually because I've heard a lot of people complain about the launch lineup, saying it's not very good,
Yeah.
and I don't know if I agree with that. I mean, you've literally just listed 3 AAA games that you can play in VR.
Yeah.
As,
Well,
as
one of them we've both already beaten.
Yeah, but that's because we're VR enthusiasts who've played
Yeah.
a mod. I
Yeah.
mean, if you're a PSVR 1 owner and you buy a PSVR 2, you're literally getting 3 AAA VR games to play on launch.
Yeah.
I think that's pretty good.
One is old-ish. I don't know
Which
how
one?
old GT7 is.
It's not a lot old. It's only a year ago.
Yeah, a year. Okay.
Resident Evil 8 is obviously an older game which they're replaying, but again, that's first time for them to play it in VR.
Yeah.
You've also got stuff like the Star Wars game that's coming out, which is not bad, and there's definitely stuff. I think the launch lineup's fine for what it is. I think
Mm-hmm.
I do. One thing I don't like is the lack of marketing that PlayStation and Sony have done. I think they've really not done any marketing. They did this big thing where they were releasing all this information for these games and stuff months before it was due to come out, and I thought, wow, they're doing this really early. I think they must have some really amazing stuff closer to launch that they're going to reveal. And we're now 3 weeks away from launch, and is there going to be some sort of big state of play revealing some other stuff? I don't know, but even like with the announcements of the games, like Gran Turismo 7 was announced at a business conference, and it was just mentioned that it was getting VR support with like a 15-second sizzle reel or footage of the game. They didn't even make any sort of big announcement. That could have been part of a big state of play thing for VR, and it would have made headline news. It's literally the full game. It's not like the first game, Gran Turismo Sport, where it was just trials or races against one's car. You can play the full campaign with a full grid of cars in VR, and they've not even talked about it. They keep announcing all these games, and they just do it in a blog post on their website. They're not even, where's the marketing? Where's the surely it doesn't cost them much to make a state of play where they just put a bit of footage together and get developers to send footage and announce some games. Why can't they just do that? Maybe they are doing that, but with 3 weeks to go and pre-orders still in there, you'd think they want to do that about now so that people still got a chance to pre-order ready for launch. So I don't know. And same with Meta as well. I just don't know what they're doing. Like, where's the marketing? They've released that Grid Legends recently, and
It came out of nowhere.
it came out of nowhere. There was no marketing. They just put something on their YouTube channel. Like, where's the marketing?
Maybe just because they knew it was a piece of shit.
Yeah, I mean, there is that. I was listening to the other podcast.
Recentered?
Yeah, and they were talking about it, and what's his name? I forgot.
Raj?
His name now. Yeah,
Fluke Raj.
Yeah, he was talking because he's played it, and he said that it looks like shit, but it's still fun.
Yeah.
But for me, I mean, the problem I've got is that a big part of gaming is like immersion, and if you're playing a racing game that's supposed to be like a realistic looking racing game, I want it to look good, and if it looks like a potato, then that's a big part of the appeal that goes out of the window. You also can't use a steering wheel with a Quest 2 as well, so that's so then you've got to play it with a thumbstick, and playing a racing game with a thumbstick is not fun in my opinion. Like every twitchy little move on a thumbstick moves the car. You can't be smooth with it. It's difficult to be smooth steering a car with a thumbstick.
Mm-hmm.
So playing that in VR, I've tried doing it before with a gamepad just to test it out, and it don't feel particularly good. So
speaking of GT7, some people have already got their Yaw 2s working with it. There's a guy named James on the Coffee and VR Discord. He has a YouTube channel, and he put up a video of him. Yeah, there's another guy in there who figured out how to get the telemetry data from GT7 to output it like to a Yaw, and then the same day James put up a video of him. I think James listens to this podcast.
Right.
He put up a video of him playing Gran Turismo 7, with his Yaw 2. So he's ready for when he gets his PSVR 2.
Yeah, I mean, that's me. I've got a steering wheel and everything. It's all PS5 compatible. So I've got shifter and everything. I've got fully set up. So that's Gran Turismo 7 for me is a big appeal to get, because we've got loads of racing games, but they're all serious sim races with, they're either online like iRacing, or they're just kind of sandbox games which haven't really got a campaign or a way. Like with Gran Turismo, you're buying cars, you're earning currency, you're upgrading, you're unlocking new tracks and stuff. That's the sort of racing game I want to play. So
Yeah.
that's a game that's really interesting me. Horizon Call of the Mountain looks really good. Obviously, Resident Evil 8 also looks really good. It looks like a real polished port, but obviously I've already played it. There's that Star Wars game, Galaxy's Edge, which I personally want to play, but I thought the Quest version was pretty underwhelming visually. So if they improve the visuals a lot, which looks like they have, then I think that could be fun. You've got a Switchback roller coaster game, which could be fun. You've got there's that shooter, what's it called? Crossfire something or other. Yeah, that looks pretty good. It's not going to be amazing, probably Zero Caliber level good, but it's still going to be fun. So there's 5 games that are within the next couple of months to launch where I'm going to want to play them on
Did you
PSVR.
say Firewall?
Not Firewall.
No, but Firewall is one of them, but I don't know.
Yeah,
I don't know when that's coming out.
Firewall's, because I've never played the original. I don't know. Have you played the original?
Yeah, I had the original, but I sold it.
What do you think?
I don't like. It's just straight multiplayer.
Yeah, that's what I mean.
And it was really slow in the lobby to get a match going. And
if it had some sort of single player content, I'd be interested. But I don't think I'd buy it for.
It had single player, but it was
just
sort of
against bots.
Yeah, it was like kind of like Onward, but maybe worse.
Yeah.
Single player,
yeah.
All right, so
sorry. Go on.
Presentiment of Death comes out March 1st. I don't know if that's Steam only. I'm not sure.
Not sure.
But it's like super hot, but with a bow and arrow.
Yeah.
So that might be cool. We don't know.
It sounds cool. It sounds interesting because with super hot, obviously, it's time moves when you move.
Mm-hmm.
And with the bow and arrow, you have to move to shoot. So that could be an interesting mechanic where you've got to make sure that you've got to look around and then time. You've got to pull the bow back and aim, and that's all movement. So I think that could make for something quite interesting. Visually, it looks fine. It's not going to break any grounds, but it looks good. The developer themselves, they've not really made anything. I looked through the list of the games they've made, and there's nothing that really stands out as good or bad.
Mm-hmm.
So it's not like they've got a reputation for making bad games, but there's nothing really stand out they've made that's good. So I think it'll be okay. I don't think it's going to be anything amazing, but I think it could be fun.
Had you ever heard the word presentiment?
No. What is it?
I had to look it up. It was something like foreboding or something, or
presentiment of
predicting.
death.
What's I don't have a keyboard in front of me. I don't remember. Let me see.
I can look it up.
Foreboding, I think of something bad, which makes sense considering the title.
Yeah, it's an interesting name.
An intuitive feeling about the future, especially one of foreboding. So there you go. A presentiment of disaster.
Right.
Never heard it. So I was like, was that like a made-up word? But nope, it's a real word.
So it's like presuming your own death or something?
Yeah, I guess.
Yeah.
So
Interesting.
we've already talked about this before, but The Walking Dead Saints and Sinners Chapter 2, it has an actual release date now, March 21st. I think it kept changing. Like, wasn't it supposed to be December? Then it maybe was February, now it's March.
I think it was supposed to be coming December with the Quest 2 version. And then
last I heard was February before. I mean,
and then it
after
got
that.
moved to February for PC, and then it looks like they're going to release it on PC and PSVR 2 at the same time now, because that's
and that's probably a much harder deadline since PSVR 2. They probably
because that's a launch title for PSVR 2.
Well, those other PSVR 2 games say February 22nd. So,
but that's when it comes out. Oh, that's sorry.
So
It's not, is it? It's March. I was wrong month. No, you're
okay.
right. I was thinking February. Yeah. Yeah, it's not a launch game. It's a launch window game or whatever you want to
Yeah,
call it.
launch window.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to that though. We'll talk about it. We'll see when it comes out. But actually, I was looking at reviews on Quest because I just wanted to get a general feel for what the game's like. Most of them are just about performance and stuff, so it's difficult to get a feel of is the game, have they pushed the game forwards over the first game? Is there a lot of different stuff? I'll look into that for next time because we're gonna have another. We can talk about it next month before it comes out. But yeah, I'm not sure what to. I'm hoping that there's more to it than just the same game, just again.
IGN said more of the same, but with worse performance and game-breaking issues for the Quest version. I think they gave it a 6. I think.
PC version will be better.
Yeah.
PlayStation
definitely.
2 version. I think it'll be fun. I mean, even if it's more of the same, I guess it'll still be fun to go back into that.
Mm-hmm.
But I just would like more of a structured mission type, like more variety to the missions. So that's the main thing I want.
Yeah. So then Vertigo 2 comes out March 30th. And I don't know if you have any others because you did a video of stuff upcoming. Can you think of any others?
Yeah, none of them had any dates though.
Oh, okay.
The only one that did have a date was Vertigo 2.
Okay.
And then we've got Saints Sinners 2, which has got a date. And we've got this new game which just came out of nowhere. So it's slow. It's very slow release. PC's not had much coming. I've been struggling like mad to find stuff to play. I've got access to the Unreal Engine injector, which we're going to talk about. I was going to talk about this week, but I think we've got enough to talk about. So we'll talk about next month. But that's given me loads and loads of games to play, but they're all gamepad games. I'm sat playing with a gamepad, and I've got this big craving for a proper, native VR game with motion controls. So that's why I've been thinking PlayStation VR 2, because that comes out, obviously in 3 weeks. And I just thought, straight away I've got, Call of the Mountain, I've got Star Wars, and I've got Gran Turismo 7 to play, but it's just too expensive.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm not going to buy it.
Plus, they'll do a price drop. You've seen that the Quest Pro got a price drop.
Yeah, $400 price drop, I think.
That's a big price drop.
But I think it's temporary, I think.
Is it?
I think so.
Yeah. So like $400.
They say it's temporary at least to make people.
Yeah, they're obviously not selling enough if they're going to do that though. So
yeah.
$1,400 to $1,100.
No,
$1,500 to $1,100.
Yeah,
that's a lot of money.
And $1,100 is the same price as the Vive Elite XR, so that might be why.
Anyway,
I don't know if that's out yet.
No,
I don't know.
I'm not really that interested in either of them, to be honest.
Yeah, I've heard a bunch of people say they're interested in them because they're so much lighter and more compact.
Even then, though, I've been seeing people who had to modify them, like put top straps on, and
because they're not. Yeah, I've heard they're not comfortable. Both of them, I've heard.
Which is insane to me that we're still. That's one thing about my Index. I've got to say, I'm not getting rid of this thing anytime soon. I can wear this thing for hours.
Yeah.
And I've not.
Yeah, we're both wearing them right now.
Yeah.
That's
and I don't have to spend any money on it. I've not had to spend any money on audio because it still doesn't come with good audio as well. So you spend all that money, and then you've got to sort an audio solution out. I've seen people strapping batteries to the back again, like they have been doing to extend battery life. Mm-hmm. It's like I'll just stick with a cable and just plug the damn thing in.
Yeah, and the Quest Pro has bad microphones because Upload VR, they used Quest Pros, and they're always having microphone issues in their show.
Yeah, I'm happy with what I've got. I won't buy another headset. The only one I'm going to get is PSVR 2 for the games.
Yeah.
But I'm going to have to wait until I'm rich.
Yeah. All right, if you've made it this far, I'm going to give some free game keys.
Ooh.
Yeah. So here's, I don't know, is Blaston free now?
Is it?
I don't know. It was? I thought it was. Can you look it up?
You're going to give a free game for free?
I know.
You're
free
Rick, right?
for free.
You're so generous.
I know. I don't know if it's free or not. So I should not even read that.
Let me have a look. Was it for Quest or PC?
Oh, I assume these are Steam. I don't have Quest keys as far as I know.
Okay. Let me find it. Just give another one out while I have to look it up.
All right. How about Down the Rabbit Hole? 578WC6RYQL3E4GHZ. That's down the rabbit hole. That's a Steam key. I beat that game. I enjoyed it. It's a fun little cute puzzle game.
Yeah, it was okay. It's 2 hours long. It's a pretty short game. It's definitely it's like it's like a diorama type thing where you're looking into the game rather than. I think Blasphemy is free. I'm on the thing. It just says play game. It doesn't say to buy it or anything. So I think they made it free to play.
Oh, you didn't already? Maybe you already own it.
No, I made sure I logged into it.
All right, I'm gonna give away an oldie but a goodie, Vanishing Realms. It has DLC where they added more content to it that I still haven't even finished. 74 6RJ RZ3WP 57XGL. I thought that was the best game of 2016. I think Vanishing Realms, probably. It was short though. Well, see, Vertigo came out in December 2016. Maybe that's better. Then Arizona Sunshine came out that year. I don't know.
Vanishing Realms was one of the first games that gave like a proper campaign, single player, semi-decent graphics for the time. Yeah. And they had the combat was trying to do something as well. Like you had that parry system where you had to kind of parry and find an opening. You couldn't just walk in and waggle.
Yeah, I think the first game where you couldn't just waggle.
So it was interesting from that point of view. It's dated now, but back in the day, it's a really solid VR game.
Yeah. All right, so that's
Any more keys? That's it.
Oh, should I give out more? I have more. I don't know. Okay,
what have you got?
All right.
What you got?
I also have Tower Tag and Panoptic. Those are my other two I have.
May as well just give them out.
Tower Tag E0ZWY 2XGYB 7ZZAC. Panoptic E66HZ like Zach. Then I almost said like xylophone, and then I was like, oh wait, that's an X. LQ6REPF5JD. So that's all the keys I have. I guess I'm gonna have to buy some bundles or something if I want any more.
Yeah, I think you just had them as part of a bundle, didn't you?
Yeah, they were in various bundles.
Yeah,
where I already had the game.
Yeah, free game. Yeah. And they're not bad. They're worth a try.
Yeah,
can't go wrong for free.
All right, so that's it.
That's it. Yeah.
Thanks for listening.
See you next month when I bought a PSVR and I've put it on my credit card.
Do you really think so?
I don't know.
Or are you just kidding?
I'm kidding, but we'll see. Because you can
tune in to find out.
Yeah. All right then. Bye.